Well, good evening, Sigma race fans. We come at you live here tonight from the fictional racetrack of RiKi Raceway, based in Canada. And tonight should be an excellent race, as we've always had thrillers from this racetrack in the years prior. Tonight should be no different, as we've got some very interesting lineups already. It looks like Finley Herwig with the pole position here tonight on a rookie, getting some extra starts in the Cup Series to get his feet wet, starting alongside the 2015 champion Jacob Shangle. Next row, you've got Tasha Wright and Lucas Holmes. Monty Shangle looking to try and rebound from what's been a very, very tough season alongside John Hagan. Bradley Ream's still alive for that championship battle, but he's lost some ground to Al Bunch in the last couple weeks. Your 2025 All-Star driver, James Fireball Robert. Then we've got Al Bunch, which a big breaking news this week. We'll highlight it a little bit later in the broadcast here. He's starting alongside Kara Shangle. Chaz Chadwick and Nate Newman. Jimmy Logano won in the sprint qualifier to make it onto the main event. Actually, it was Eli the Wolf, but Jimmy Logano is still qualified. With Guido Piano, your 2022 USA Trucks champion. Your he was a Bridge to Cup runner-up in the title battle. Carson Bowers alongside Kellen Relic, Cooper Dwight and Tom Cording, Rich Roy and Andre Stefan, Trevor Walker and Trevor Vaden, Tyler Landa and Gannon and Bird, Brian DeBlanc and Eli the Wolf, Bella Fawn, who just won her first career race at Bristol last week, alongside Louis Trost. You and What Army also winning in that doubleheader at Bristol, Dave Steele Jr. John Brinker and Braden Varga. Varga's trying to compete for that Rookie of the Year title. Taden Bergeron alongside Kevin Xavier, Jack Ross and Lynn Farrell. Tyler and Tyler. You got Tyler Aspinall and Tyler Shangle, followed by Matthew Fastnot, Tristan Reams, Justin Day 2, and Chris Harvey rounding out the field here tonight. 223 laps for the Maple Leaf 500 here tonight. Should be a good one. As most super speedway races, this might turn into a bit of a conveyor belt race, but it's all about setting yourself up for that last segment of the race to try and get the win. 500 miles of edge of your seat racing here from RiKi Raceway. These drivers, they're laying it out on the line here tonight. There's been some pretty nasty wrecks here at the years past. And so let's just hope everyone makes it out unscathed from the toughest super speedway in Sigma competition. Very unique pairing there, as Finley Herwig is actually racing for Jacob Shangle Racing in Bridge to Cup next year, starting on the pole alongside his future team owner. And here we are, off and rolling tonight. Underway, green flag is a-rolling. Well, leading in his early Sigma Cup career, Finley Herwig to the front from pole position, leads the first lap under competition here. Bradley Ream making a move, getting up to second. Al Bunch on the move as well, already up into the top 5. Monty Shangle, he's on one hell of a dry streak, and he's hoping to try and erase the dry spell of Victory Lane. And maybe a good night here to get healthy, as the super speedway does not discriminate on a bad season. Can definitely turn your season around with the luck of a super speedway race. Bradley Ream leads that lap, but Monty Shangle on the move, as well as Al Bunch. So for those of you that may not have heard the news up until now, Jaguar is no longer going to be part of the Sigma Cup Series going forward. After this year, they are going to cease operations with the series due to a restructure of the corporation. They're going full electric vehicle and do not have a gas-powered engine to supply for Sigma Cup racing. So, as we see it right now, this may be their last championship. Oh, and we've got title implications already at the earliest in the race here tonight, lap 4. And that, folks, looked like it took quite a few cars out, including your pole setter, the number 68 of Finlay Herwig. Bit of a rookie mistake, I must add. So let's see exactly how that all transpired. 68 was losing ground. Man, this title battle is going to start going right to Al Bunch here, as Bradley Ream was involved in the wreck as well. Oh, Monty got 3 wide, and it took the 68 for a ride. Ooh, 94 of Eli the Wolf with some hard damage. Well, let's see how the hit happens for Eli the Wolf here. I think the driver with the even harder hit was the 14 of Kevin Xavier, who had nowhere to go to get out of the way. Oh, Jimmy Logano got a hard hit there. Bam, the 14 just lawn darts his way into the number 7 there of Tyler Landa. And unfortunately for Jimmy Logano, he was just an innocent bystander in the mix and gets a little bit of damage there. So, kind of the big one early on here, and fortunately for Bradley Ream, that's going to hurt him in that points battle. He has had a rough start to the double points, the double down to the championship, where every race is double points all the way to the finish here. And that only hurts even more because the double points are going to be working against you as much as they are working for you. So he's at risk of losing big points tallies here every time he's got a bad race. So we're settled back in, getting some more pace laps under caution here. First wreck on lap 4 involved quite a few contenders there that could have been some very high caliber contenders for the win. Chaz Chadwick will lead them to the restart here tonight on our first caution of the evening, followed by the DXP competition teammates of Cooper Dwight and Carson Bowers. The other LFG Motorsports teammate, number 1 of UN Army, running in 4th there. So teammates sticking together. Luckily, it looks like they'll probably get paired up pretty close on the double file restart here. Except it'll be flip-flopped with the 1 car behind the 41 and the 40 behind the 18. The inverted teammates of each other there. These laps are pretty quick here at RiKi Raceway. They run about 35-second laps at a super speedway. That is hauling the mail around here. And that means when they wreck big. It's a very dangerous track. Retired out of the event here tonight, you have the 14 of Kevin Xavier with that hard rear end hit. 94 of Eli the Wolf and the number 7 of Tyler Landa. 78, Bradley Ream still in the mix. He's going to need a little bit of luck and maybe a little bit of misfortune from his title contenders here tonight to get a lucky break out of it. But definitely starting off on the wrong foot, getting involved in that first wreck of the night. Doubled up for the restart. This is where the shenanigans happen. Already with a good start on the outside, Cooper Dwight, but Chaz Chadwick on the inside fights back to keep the lead in his name. They're a little bit uneasy there in the draft. You could see them kind of bobbing and weaving. The 41 and the 1 not really hooking up well together there. It seems like they're relaxed now. 40 quits the inside line to go high to try and follow the 18. The 18 quits him, and here we are. The 18 playing chess while the rest of them are playing checkers. He's blocking both lines on the run, keeping that lead away from everyone. Here we got Brian DeBlank making it 3 wide for 2nd place. Chaz Chadwick very much appreciative of that because it's keeping him up front leading. DeBlank trying to make the move in. He gets blocked, but the 18 couldn't hold the line for long. 85 on the inside now. Makes the push side by side through turn 1. Cooper Dwight pushing Brian DeBlank to the lead. And Cooper Dwight didn't want to waste any time. He wants to get up there and lead some laps as well. That is going to be the key strategy here tonight, is blocking both lines of traffic to keep that lead in your name. It's hard to do, but when you get to the front line at the start-finish line there, you can make it work. You can block the top side, drop low, block the inside, and keep the lead away from anyone that's trying to attack. DeBlank's playing the game now, just like we saw Chaz Chadwick a moment ago. Stays high, watches the run on the inside come at him. He blocked the 23 there. He's doing good. .500 miles, 223 laps here tonight. It's going to be a grueling one for these Cup drivers. DeBlank, one of the few drivers still in the mix to try and take some of the spots away from Al Bunch in the title hunt. If he can have a great race here tonight, he could very well gain some big points when it matters the most. Bradley Ream is way off the pace. This is a tough situation, since if you're that far off the pace, you might end up getting the black flag, the disqualification for not meeting moderate race pace. In Sigma, we gotta keep the race rolling without too many unnecessary wrecks and cautions, and Bradley Ream is walking a tightrope here tonight. Up to second, it's Matthew Fastnot, followed by Tasha Wright now, the top three. Oh, and here we go. Matthew Fastnot, the Honda, is making a move up to the front. Kara Schenkel on the move as well. Seems like she's got a knack for these super speedway races. The last one that we ran at 8 Bulls Super Speedway, she came home third. So maybe harnessing a little bit of that fortune from the last race here tonight. Mad Matt leads the way, but it's going to be Tasha Wright fighting to take it away from him. John Brinker also in the mix up front here. So we're down to the final 10 races in the Sigma Cup Series. A lot on the line with these final 10 races. The title very well can get tied up weeks in advance, or it can go right down to the final race at Indianapolis. It all depends on how these final 9 races up to that point play out. Tasha Wright leads the lap there. We got some more teammates working together as Jacob Schenkel and John Hagan are connected on the bottom there. And new to the lead, it's Rich Roy here tonight. We're going to keep seeing that lead swap hands. We're starting to see the conveyor belt work its way around here at RiKi Raceway. Well, they have caught Bradley Ream, who's now gone a lap down here tonight. That is tough to watch for the title competition. Chris Harvey making a move up into the top 5. Well, this right here is troubling for a lot of the competition as Al Bunch is out front leading laps. That means trying to lock up bonus points here tonight, leading laps, possibly fighting for lead most. Don't know if he can get the hard charger award, but it's doing what he must to win the title, and it would be back-to-back titles. What's crazy enough tonight is Dalton Scott failed to qualify through the sprint qualifier, which that is insane. I mean, he's second in the title hunt, hunting down Al Bunch for the win. The only way that Dalton Scott can walk away tonight feeling good is if the 81 were to finish 40th or worst. The best or the worst that could happen right now is if Al Bunch got in a wreck and finished 39th. And everyone else would have a chance to get caught up to him. But that's very, very unlikely the way Al Bunch has been running lately. He's tough to beat. There's a new contender in that Rookie of the Year battle. And Braden Varga may be stepping up to the plate to hit the Grand Slam. Braden Varga has been quiet, but also consistent. And with the number 9 Chevrolet leading the way here tonight, he's only proven to the rest of the Rookie of the Year candidates that he's here to play. He wants to get that Rookie of the Year accolade, add it to his resume, and roll into next year looking for a new ride. As Courting Brothers Motorsports have already decided they're going to work around without Braden Varga for next year. So a lot of wild, silly season things are going to play out here rolling into 2026. The fact that Jaguar is closing up shop, Braden Varga potentially Rookie of the Year champion, could be on his butt without a ride, but he'll land. Someone will pick him up. He's going to have a guaranteed charter just based on the results of this year. And so a team would be foolish not to pick him up. Whoa, that got kind of hairy there with teammate Tasha Wright in the 90, teammates with Braden Varga. That slowed up the whole process there, and Braden Varga lost a little bit of ground. They're getting ready to put Jimmy Logano a lap down here tonight. His car has not come back around. That leaves us with 36 cars on the lead lap here. Justin Day 2 taking the lead. That's a rare sight. Whoa, and I thought Nate Newman was going to get spun out by Ewan What Army there. They were able to keep it clean and gathered. We keep on rolling. Yeah, Bradley Ream at this point is going to have to hope for some wrecks and a lot of them. I even highly doubt that they are going to get the car fixed right. After tonight, there's only 9 races left in the Cup title. Kansas is another race we'll host this week, so it's a double-header week. You get a race here on Tuesday and then a race later in the week. More than likely Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, depending on how it works out the best. The final 10 races of the USA Truck Championship is coming up here too. You won't want to miss the championship chase battle for the top 20 between the East and the West. The top 10 from the East and the top 10 from the West duke it out. to claim the overall championship in the USA Trucks title. Nate Newman up front right now, leading some laps in that Cadillac. Cadillac still winless in Sigma competition. They're looking to try and claim their first ever Sigma victory. Guy in second there, Jacob Shangle, was able to get Genesis their first career win this year. Could Cadillac still break through and get their first win in 2025, or might they have to wait till next year? 33 laps in, 190 laps left to go here from RiKi Raceway. Braden Varga's going to quit. Now the two purple cars best stick together there. The more they cooperate, the better they can get away from the rest of the pack. Single file at the front. Braden Varga breaks out and tries to take the lead away from Jacob Shangle. And then you've got the 95 of James Fireball Robert moving up there. Dave Steele Jr., which we have not seen a whole lot of, but it seems like he's got a better car when it comes to the Super Speedway package. Showing some muscle here in that Ace Hardware number 35 Chevrolet for Trackhouse B. Oh, what a move, what a move. That 35 goes high, and I think that was the right move to make. Oh, and they're going to get blocked off by the 78 now on the high side. That's going to open the door for the 95, the 41, and the 40 to blow by all of them. It looked like it was going to pay off there, but ultimately in the end it did not. And like that, some of your leaders are going to get forced to the back here pretty quickly. Still hanging in there, even though getting spun out in that first caution. Finley Herwig running top 25 here tonight. Tristan Reams making some moves up to the front here. First time we've seen Tristan Reams up front contending for the lead position. It's crazy to think just a couple years ago he was the winningest driver here in the Sigma Cup Series. Was the road course ringer back a couple years ago, 2023. And has not been able to find the magic since then. They switched to Honda recently, and the change of scenery there seems to have kind of slowed his growth in the racing department. But he's still out there, still in the Cup Series, contending for competitive races in the number 51 team. Just hasn't looked as stout. Sometimes you're on a dry spell. All it takes is one race to get the momentum rolling. There we got Tyler Shangle and Al Bunch, a pair of defending champions, working their way up to the front. Also got Kara Shangle moving back to the front. She's got Kellen Relic pushing him 3 wide for the lead here. Kellen Relic, Ewan Waterarmy, and Carson Bowers 3 wide for the lead. Kara Shangle is going to give that 87 a good push. With Jaguar leaving, Kellen Relic Racing is going to switch back to Dodge. They'd been Dodge many, many years prior to being the Jaguar team. And were very, very competitive in Dodge equipment. So Sigma racers are kind of expecting to see a return to form with Dodge under the belt of Kellen Relic Racing. Battle keeps a brewing here for the lead, but Kellen Relic continues to hold off the charge from the 21 of Kara. They're catching some lap traffic again. That is the 22 of Trevor Walker. Ooh, and at a bad spot indeed. The 22 is going to get caught there. He's going to hold up multiple lines from moving around him there. Now Bunch keeps bouncing back to the front of the field here. Seems like whenever it comes down to the championship time, Al Bunch grabs another gear, and he's insanely hard to beat. Oh, we got green flag pit stops here on lap 47. Just a little bit shy of the quarter mark of the race here, so they're going to have to break it into about 4 pit stops to make it to the finish. And it is customary in Sigma Cup at these super speedways. Once everyone pits, we will throw a competition caution to give everyone bunched back up, since the AI on super speedways seem to often be brain dead. Continuing to stay out, it's going to be Carson Bowers leading a couple laps here. Him and his team owner, Cooper Dwight, looking to try and make it a good season next year, moving up into Cup. few of these drivers still hunting to get their top 33 in the points to maintain a charter for next year. Cooper Dwight, believe it or not, has actually moved up to 11th on a part-time basis. 11th in the points, that is, with missing races on the calendar. So that is a impressive stat. After tonight, obviously, Kansas is later on in this week. As, yeah, we should be racing again on Thursday. And then you got Rockingham for the Rock Annual 400. We'll go to Australia for the Lakeside event. And we're under caution here. So the second caution of the race forces our hand on not having to throw the competition caution, that is. And it looks like maybe Jack Ross is the one involved here. Aw, man, and that includes some of our race leaders that have been running at the front of the field. Jack Ross and Matthew Fastnot get into it there on the exit of pit road. Just wrong place, wrong time, I guess. Jack Ross really didn't give the 09 of Fastnot much room there. And then collects the 31 of Justin Day2 as well. It's a very Jack Ross moment, I must say. We've seen him make some bonehead moves. That one definitely ranks up there amongst some of his bonehead moves. Looks like we got everyone waved back around onto the lead lap. Jimmy Logano, we will go ahead and give him the lucky dog. Well, that is our second caution of the race. Came at a very perfect time for the competition caution was just going to come a little bit after that anyways. And even though everyone already pitted under green, they ain't going to waste any time with avoiding pit road. They're going to pit again here under caution and make sure to get as full a gas as they can and get set off on the right tire strategy here tonight. Well, folks, hopefully you're enjoying the racing action so far. 53 laps in, 170 laps to go. Looks like Brian DeBlanc wins the pit stop call here, getting back to the lead with pit strategy. In second, it is Tatenberger. In third, it's Tom Cording. In fourth, Lynn Farrell, followed by the fifth place runner of Tasha Wright. it seems like Bradley Ream is definitely having a Josh Berry start to the championship push here. We don't have eliminations like real life NASCAR. In this chase, double points is pretty wild because you'll really only see eliminations once we get about, you know, with 5 to 8 races left to go. We'll probably have some drivers eliminated after tonight based on just the amount of sheer points totals no longer achievable. Double points, we still have 2,000 points up on the board between the last 10 races. 200 points to win, whereas last place only pays about 2 points. So, and then you got some bonus points out there, obviously. So, we're rounding it down to about 200 points is a max gain kind of day. And very, very possible to have 2,000 point swings to the finish of this championship if you have a guy that goes on a tear and another guy that just finishes last every week. It could happen. Al Bunch could actually hit a snag in his title defense here and lose a bunch of races. He's got to maintain that excellence all the way to the finish line. Whoa, 3 wide as he had Finlay Haraway got bumped there by Braden Varga. 3 wide for the lead. Belafon on the low side, Tyler Shangle on the high side. Braden Varga making some very erratic movements there. You saw him go way high to get behind the 77 of Tyler Shangle, and it looked like he darted across the racetrack to get there. Belafon, it took her a while, but she finally broke through and won her first ever Sigma career win. And no, it didn't come in trucks, it didn't come in ARCA. It didn't come in Bridge to Cup. She's been in most of those series, and yet she had never won a points-paying race in Sigma racing. Finally, she did it last week at Bristol, stealing the show right at the end there, taking over the win in the first of 2 nights at Bristol. Of course, the title contender, Ewan Wood Army, took the second night, but definitely was a feel-good story to see Belafon take her first ever career win at a track tough to tangle with. And here she is tonight, showing potentially that it was no fluke that she ended up winning Bristol, as she's got the power and speed to run with the big dogs here tonight. Guido Piano is kind of a certified super speedway specialist. His championship push, he went to win Pocono and then went on to win Talladega to earn that first ever career championship in the USA Trucks title. Here comes Kellen Relic with a good push from Tyler Shangle and John Brinker. Tyler Shangle making it 3 wide with the 87 and the 85. 77 to the front now as he gets by both of them. And so Tyler Shangle is going to try to lead this lap, and he does. But now he's going to lose it to the 52 of John Brinker with that Cadillac moving up to the front again. Definitely have a couple Cadillacs in the field searching for their first win as a manufacturer. Could be a lot of factors here tonight that result in a first of some sort. Chris Harvey there has not yet won. Tasha Wright has not yet won. Dave Steele Jr. hasn't won, nor has Rich Roy. And then you got 68 of Finlay Herwig still in the mix here tonight as well. That would be a wild first win if he could get it done. A little bit of damage on his car seems to be slowing him up a little bit, so maybe not having quite the speed that he once had before the wreck earlier in the race. Once we get past the halfway point, this race will probably clip by pretty quickly. It always seems to go a little quicker once you get past the half point. What I find simply wild is how we've got still so many cars in the lead pack. About 37 cars still capable of winning this race here tonight. Man, Bradley Ream is going to have a long night ahead of him. It's a shame because this title battle was going to get interesting, it looked like, between Al Bunch and Bradley Ream. There's still opportunity for someone else to rise out of the dust and rubble, even after Dalton Scott not managing to qualify here tonight. That's another contender out of the mix here, giving Al Bunch kind of a walk in the park here from RiKi Raceway. At a track that should be scary, that should be frightening for that championship points bubble. But instead, Al Bunch, he can throw it, caution to the wind here tonight without too much worry, which is kind of a wild concept to grasp when you show up to a track where you should be sweating bullets. He's walking on sunshine. Even when I say that, though, Al Bunch is trapped pretty deep in the field right now. He is dropped back to 31st. Maybe playing the safety bubble here tonight, knowing that no matter what, he's going to gain points on his contenders and try to maybe stay out of harm's way, while at the same time letting the laps count away so that he can maybe work his way back up to the front when it matters the most. So strategies, strategies, strategies. Sometimes they work, sometimes they bite you in the butt, and we'll see who's got the race-winning strategy here tonight. You see there the Dodge Challenger, the 69 of Lynn Farrell. Sigma Cup's going to be switching over to the Dodge Charger model for next year, since the Challenger has been discontinued. Dodge does still have gas-powered Chargers, I'm assuming. At least for the Sigma Cup Series, they're willing to provide a gas-powered engine for their Charger model. that's where Jaguar pulled out of Sigma Cup, is their big pivot to electric vehicles only, meaning they no longer produce gas-powered engines and didn't have a gas-powered engine to offer to the Sigma Racing Series, putting your defending champion and potentially this year's current champion, if they continue at the rate they're going, on the snide, looking for new manufacturers across a couple teams out there. Oh, and we've got Tyler Shangle and Braden Varga now swapping out front here. Braden Varga is going to hold the lead over Tyler Shangle. As they're going to catch more of the lap traffic here. Next round of pit stops looking like probably about lap 89 to 95 for the next round of green flag pit stops. Your leaders slice and dice their way through the lap traffic here. John Brinker makes a move on Tyler Shangle. That drops Tyler into the outside groove. Teammates sticking together up high. Lynn Farrell and Tyler Shangle. And nope, Lynn Farrell cuts his boss a rough one there as he pushes him up high and gains 4th position. John Brinker in the Cadillac looking to take the lead with the number 52 Dr. Pepper entry. He goes high on the slow traffic of Jack Ross. The reason for the second caution here tonight, going a lap down here to the leaders. Wow, just like that, I think Al Bunch has made up some ground. It looks like he's up into the top 20 now. A lot of these drivers simply trying to hold their own until the final 50 lap push here tonight. A lot the teams playing chess right now, trying to strategically place themselves in a good position to fight for the win here. But at the same time, as they continue to swap the lead, they're going back and forth as to who might get led most laps here tonight, which is also a highly coveted bonus points that go towards the championship at the end of the year. We look here of our lap leaders amongst the top 30. It looks like Brian DeBlanc has the most at 7. Chaz Chadwick second most with 6, and quite a few drivers scattered around with 5 laps led here tonight. A lot of racing still to go here. It's going to be a smaller list determining who hasn't led a lap here tonight. Always seems to be the case when you get to a super speedway in Sigma that the lap leader list grows bigger than the non-lap leader list. Cadillac's looking strong here today. Nate Newman, John Brinker, and the like. Even Gannon Bird's been showing his presence at the front of the field in and out tonight. I'm very impressed with the 88 of John Hagan. Seems like he's got super speedway power, whereas most of the other races he runs struggles with. Three wide for second place is materializing here as Nate Newman goes up into second, making the move on the inside. Al Bunch picking them off one by one, back up into the top 10 here. Brief pause here, folks, so I can save the race up to this point. We have not yet seen the death-defying wreck that this track often holds. The inside of the racetrack gets to be pretty treacherous once you're spinning around after getting wrecked at 220 miles an hour. You do not want to get wrecked going 200 miles an hour, let alone 225 some miles an hour. See what the top speed they achieve going through the front stretch here. They keep it pegged at 222, 223, 224, and right about there is going to be the most dangerous spot of the track, and they're rolling at 225 miles an hour. The backstretch is not much different as they get rolling. They get up to 224 miles an hour rolling into turn 3. They never drop much below 218, 215. They are flat glued to this track here at RiKi Raceway. One of the fastest tracks in all of racing history. Man, and Tom Cording almost got side slapped there by the 40, Carson Bowers, at the dangerous spot in the track. If they would have went sideways, they would have went for a ride onto the infield care center. Still, a lot of these drivers playing it cool right now, keeping it calm, calculated, knowing there's 137 laps left to go. A lot of racing still to go ahead of them. No reason to put yourself in a dangerous spot if it's not a final lap fight for the win. Alrighty, we are closing in on halfway here tonight. As I had to step away briefly there. Did we have pit stops? Yes, we did. And it's a play-by-play basis on the competition caution rule. It looks like everyone's been able to pretty well stay packed together, so we'll just keep it rolling here. We did have another retirement, 23 of Guido Piano with a mechanical failure. Out of the race tonight, gives Bradley Ream another spot. Although for Bradley Ream, he's going to need a lot more spots to keep things interesting in that points battle, as he's given up a lot of points here tonight to Al Bunch if it finishes the way it's running. Alrighty, halfway now on this lap. Halfway through the race, 112 laps left to go. Kind of an odd number race with 223 laps, so right there on the backstretch. That is technically treated as true halfway in the race here tonight. 111 and a half laps in, 111 and a half laps to go. And now 111 laps to go. Sitting on about a 45 to 50 lap pit window on long green flag runs here tonight. If this race stays green the rest of the way, we should see at least 2 more pit stops to the finale of the race, the finish of the race. Alrighty, we are down to 102 laps left to go in the Maple Leaf 500 here tonight. Al Bunch is not seeming to be showing up here past halfway. He's still 24th in the field, 10 seconds back. Actually in a secondary group, leading that secondary group at the moment. So the points battle might kind of fall flat here tonight, especially with the lack of Dalton Scott and Bradley Ream having a bad race here as well. Al Bunch not gaining as many points as he would like, but it's not over until it's over. Next race on the schedule would be the Kansas Quake 400 from Kansas. And that race often provides us with some thrills, spills, and overall automotive feels. Tonight, they're racing at the most dangerous track in the series, and they are putting on a show. They're keeping it clean. They've only really had 2 wrecks, one of them which was a big wreck, the second one not so much, but that big one could still very well be looming in the background. We could see some crazy stuff happen by the end of this race. 100 laps to go. Still 36 cars out there that could get tangled up in a wreck, and it could be a huge wreck. Yeah, at the end of the year here, this is getting down to the nitty-gritty. I'm especially excited for the Music Fest Grand Prix from Nashville this year. October 24th. Mark your calendars, folks. That is the 5th crown jewel of the season, and it's going to be one to remember, as we've got 110 entries confirmed to be attempting to make the show. The day is going to be broke up into 3 consecutive days of Sigma racing, where we will have qualifying on Wednesday to help set up the alphabet soup of Thursday. Heat races all day Thursday will set the main field for Friday. And that alphabet soup is going to be an interesting one, as we would have pretty much groups of 17 for the E qualifier. And then you would have 7 move on out of that one. 10 drivers going home after the first. Then you'll have a field of 22 drivers for the D qualifier. 7 of which move on to the next one, meaning 15 drivers go home in the second qualifier. Then it's another 22 drivers for that C qualifier. And the stakes get raised up a little bit, as you'll have 10 qualify out of the C qualifier, sending 12 drivers home. Then you have 25 for the B qualifier, 10 of which qualify to the A qualifier, meaning 15 go home. And with the late breaking developments of Nashville Superspeedway, we will have 45 available pit stalls, meaning of the drivers that can make it into the main event, we will have room for 15 drivers in the A qualifier to make it to the main event. Actually, let me double track that real quick, because right now we've got 32 drivers locked in on charters. 10 drivers make it in on the sprint qualifiers right now. That means 13 drivers will make it through. We could have as much as 14 if the pit stalls allow us to have one more extra pit stall, which I highly doubt we'll actually have a 46th pit stall, but with some testing and training, we might be able to make it work. So potentially 13 or 14 drivers will make it out of that last qualifying race on Thursday, the 23rd, to set the stage for the grand event, the Music Fest Grand Prix. Third iteration, third running of it here in 2025. And some drivers simply trying to leave a mark, while others will be fighting for the title. There's a lot on the line, and that's the third to last race of the season. We would still have Talladega and Indianapolis to follow after the Music Fest Grand Prix. Pretty stacked trio of tracks to go visit at the end of the year there, and it's going to get exciting. Well, things are getting a little bit hairy here at the front of the field. 92 laps to go. Lap traffic holding up our leaders. Something fierce. And pit stops happening already. Kellen Relic making a pit stop there. I'm wondering if that's an unscheduled pit stop. Must be a scheduled pit stop, because I don't see anything wrong on the tracker there. Alrighty, 72 laps left to go here tonight, folks. And you saw another fresh round of green flag pit stops here. And it really seems like everyone's keeping it pretty close to the front of the field here. Getting things sorted pretty quickly. I was aside there for a moment, trying to put together a playlist for the Music Fest Grand Prix, as we usually do each year with a Spotify playlist to help kind of set the mood for next month's event. Man, it's already 30 days away. We are 30 days from the Music Fest Grand Prix here in 2025. It should be exciting. Hopefully everyone else is excited and tuned in for the spectacle, which will be the Music Fest Grand Prix. Our fan vote currently belongs to Wyatt Wilkinson, who's got the most fan votes for the fan voted in locked spot. That would be your 33rd spot locked in. Second in the voting is Tim Cording, my bad, who's throwing it back with the Ozzy tribute scheme, honoring the late, great Ozzy Osbourne. Currently, the votes look such as this: 24 votes for Wyatt Wilkinson and 21 votes for Tim Cording. So that could swing any which way between those two. The next in line is a couple of drivers locked in at 12, and then 11 with 10, 9, 8, 8, 9, 8, 7. Get those votes in, fans. If you're part of the Discord server, there's 190 of you. There should be 190 votes. It's not like I'm asking for money. I'm just asking for votes. Get those votes in. So we are down to 60 laps left to go here tonight. It's wild that we've only had 2 cautions here tonight. Everyone's playing it pretty safe for RiKi Raceway, which is wild because this track is pretty much the exact opposite of safe. James Fireball Robert leading over Carson Bowers, Brian DeBlanc, and Tom Cording. Lewis Trost in the mix here. That's actually for position up front here. So Lewis Trost may be looking to try and turn his season around. Bradley Ream is maybe going to hit the lucky lotto here tonight, as Al Bunch has been struggling here since the second half. 24th on track, looking to lose some points here tonight. Maybe not a crap ton, but still going to be losing some points to where he could have been gaining points. Making this championship title not quite a walk away by any means for Al Bunch. Carson Bowers has a win on the season already. That number 40 leading the way. He's a Bridge to Cup regular, and he's made quite a name for himself on the Cup side as well. On a part-time basis this year, looking to jump to full-time basis next year here in Cup. This is his rookie campaign, and it's not going to be enough for a Rookie of the Year honor, but still a hell of a rookie season turned in by the driver, the number 40 there. Not many of our rookies can say that they've been to victory lane their rookie year. Here we got Tom Cording. It's really been between Kellen Relic Racing Jaguar and Tim Cording Brothers Motorsports Chevy. Those have been the stars of our series this year, Chevy and Jaguar. And now rolling into next year, you know that Chevy's probably going to be the strangle. They're going to be the top dogs in the Sigma Cup Series. But with Jaguar's departure, that could open the door for some of these other manufacturers to shine. I know Toyota's just off the cusp of being top tier. I mean, they're pretty top tier as it is, but not. They haven't been winning as much, nor have they been championship caliber quite yet. Not since the departure of Atlee Weiss. Here we got Karashangle going to the lead. 00 of Jack Ross is going to be holding up the traffic here. Man, that's a tough break for Lynn Farrell, who had a top run going here tonight. Looks like he blew his engine. Nope, not a camshaft. Oh yeah, another camshaft failure. Couple camshaft failures here tonight. A lot of cars still pitting here. Wait till everyone pits. Get that cycle around. It looks like we might actually have to throw ourselves a competition caution here. Lewis Tross, the last of them to pit here. That should wrap things back around to Carson Bowers being your leader once it gets all sorted here, and then we might end up throwing that competition caution. Alrighty, competition caution is coming right now to give our drivers one fair last chance here tonight with about 35 laps. We'll give wave rounds to those that fell a lap down. Another mechanical failure here under caution. The 38 Amani Shangle with a blown header. Man, they're dropping like flies here tonight. No wonder we run it as a 500-mile race, but sometimes that's the big game changer there, is the mileage. And you have a lot of attrition here tonight. That'll factor in a lot too, because you got some drivers that are able to stay alive and actually gain spots that they otherwise would not have been able to gain. So we're gonna get ready to get doubled up here for a 34-lap shootout to the finish, as we're gonna have 31 cars on the lead lap. Few cars trapped a lap down here tonight, and they're more than likely not gonna be a factor for the finish, as things are winding down here. Well, it is the 50 of Tom Cording leading over Lewis Trost, James Fireball Robert, Belafon, and Tristan Reams. These final 34 laps are going to go by pretty quickly here. Don't blink, you might just miss who wins the race. Al Bunch getting back into the mix. That caution, the competition caution, is exactly what Al Bunch needed to get back in the mix and try to secure as many points here tonight. Here he is, just hunting them down one by one, getting into the top 15 here shortly. 3 cautions here tonight for a grand total of 12 laps under caution. And just like that, you cannot count out Al Bunch from fighting for the win here tonight. He's a threat. As long as he's got a car with 4 wheels, you're not going to hold him back. He can really start laying it in here pretty heavy, pretty thick. Getting as many wins as he does, he could really lock this championship up early. That's one thing the rest of the field hopes does not happen. They're kind of wanting this thing to go a little bit further, so that even the Music Fest Grand Prix later on in the season means something. This should have been a race that Al Bunch could have struggled at, and it was looking like that might have been the case here tonight. But you can never say it's over until it's over. And here he is, back up into the top 10, almost back into the top 5. The 81 is tough to beat. All it's going to take, though, is for him to make an early move that puts him on the high lane, and he could drop all the way backwards. Especially if lap traffic factors in again like it has so many times here tonight already. Oh, and Al Bunch gets shuffled up. John Hagan goes low looking for the lead. Al Bunch has his team owner, Kellen Relic, right there behind him. But it's going to be forced 3 wide on the outside. Not a good place to be for Al Bunch. That is the worst case scenario. He's got a 3rd lane with nothing established behind him. That's going to drop him like a rock. He's getting passed already by Chris Harvey here. Yeah, Harvey's going to have the inside advantage. At least he's found a line in the 2nd groove there. Fell back to about 12th place at the moment. LFG Motorsports teammates nose to tail right underneath Al Bunch. So for now, the threat of Al Bunch winning has been extinguished a little bit here. There we've got Nate Newman, Brian DeBlanc, and Kara Shangle up in the top three. Al Bunch still stuck up high, dropping backwards. He's losing spots left and right now. Nate Newman to the lead with Cadillac. Still hunting for their first ever win in Sigma Cup competition. They've also got John Brinker moving up into the top three, that 52 Cadillac. Kara Shangle, the Toyota in the middle there. Al Bunch hanging strong on that outside lane, but the inside lane is passing him by here. So we've got another yellow car at the front looking to take the lead. The 21 blockbuster entry of Kara Shangle. Here comes the 41 of Cooper Dwight as well. 26 laps to go. Kara's going to lead that lap by a hair. It's all about setting yourself up for that final push with the final laps coming towards them. Al Bunch has found himself on the inside line. That is where one really wants to be when fighting for the win here tonight. That inside line is going to be huge. It'll pay dividends here. Ooh, and Cooper Dwight starting to block both lines of traffic here. That 41 looking stout, holding off both lines. Blocks the 85's run, goes low. Block the high side with the 21. And don't look now, folks. Al Bunch is back up into the top 15. The genesis there of Jacob Shangle eking his way into the picture. Tasha Wright as well, looking up into the top 5, top 10 area. And we're 3 wide for 10th on back, which could spell trouble. As long as they don't get too out of control here. Al Bunch shuffles high again. If he hasn't learned his mistake by now, I don't know what he's going to learn here tonight. A little deeper in the field, you see Tyler Shangle cracking on into the top 15. He, too, would love to get a win here tonight and extend his win tally on consecutive seasons with a win. And tonight being a dry, this season being a dry spell, he's only got about 10 opportunities left to seal the deal. Tasha Wright went from 26th to 3rd. How the heck did that happen? Did she seriously come from 26th? No, it must have, I must have caught it the wrong time. From 10th to 3rd nonetheless. And she's going to be credited with leading the lap here with 22 laps to go. Or will she? She goes high. Yep, she leads the lap that time. The 51 goes low on her and takes the spot. Al Bunch went high again, and he's got stuck up high to dry. Tyler Shangle making some moves. He's up into the top 10. Jacob Shangle gets stuck up high with the lap traffic, the 78 of Bradley Ream, which is going to drop that outside line like an anchor in the ocean. As long as 78's in front of them, they are not going to go anywhere. Yeah, and that's going to drop Al Bunch way back here. That's trouble. As the 78 still kind of playing the game here, trying to keep the 81 at bay. And might be able to maximize on having the 81 not gain a lot of points here on him today. while at the same time that figuratively ruined a couple other drivers a potential shot at getting some points here tonight. 78 still a rolling roadblock. They're 3 wide with the 78 on the high side. They're going to finally bulldog their way around the 78. The damage has been done. Al Bunch all the way back to 30th. So this changes absolutely everything, as half the field got dropped backwards here. 19 laps to go. Still a high chance for a big one to happen here. We have not yet seen the big one tonight. Had one that came close, relatively close to the big one. Taden Bergeron's team having a good showing here tonight. He, too, is looking for one of his first career wins, just like his teammate a couple weeks ago, or rather last week, got her first career win. Taden Bergeron needs to get his first career win here in the Sigma Cup Series. He's going to get up to the top and lead here briefly, blocking the run from the 9 of Braden Varga. Braden Varga follows him up high. They continue to slice and dice at the front of the field here. Wow, and just like that, Al Bunch gets around all the drivers that he was stuck back there with and gets up to 23rd. That's amazing. Louis Tross, the biggest loser in that one, falling back to 30th. But shoot, guys, do not count out Al Bunch. Even with the deck stacked against him, he's finding his way back up to the front here. And with lap traffic still being a huge benefactor in this race, Al Bunch may be looking at it also helping him, as it has already haltered him a little bit. A pair of drivers without a first win in the series, John Hagen and Taden Bergeron leading the way right now. John Hagen to the front. Taden falls back to second. Carson Bowers looking for his second career win. A lot of these drivers showing some muscle at the end here. 15 laps remain. Boy, golly. Al Bunch back up into the top 20. He is not wasting any time getting back to the front where he once was. 3 wide for the lead, Tyler Aspinall. And just like that, John Hagen losing a lot of ground. Alrighty, folks, we're getting right at the end, 35. Whoa, Dave Steele Jr. got a little bit uncomfortable there, but everyone got around him. I thought maybe a wreck was waiting to happen there. 12 laps to go as they're getting all kinds of spread out here. Nate Newman holding off the charge here from Chris Harvey at the moment. Harvey on the inside, blowing by him. And Al Bunch is going to force it 3 wide for the lead. Wow, we're starting to see a lot of the cars struggling here. I think the longer this run goes, the harder they're driving, the harder they're making mistakes. Al Bunch just jumps to the lead as everyone else kind of falls to the wayside. That's wild. $11 laps to go. This doesn't seem like a race going to the finish. This looks like things are getting sorted and settled. We haven't seen a driver get that big of a lead yet tonight, but Al Bunch is doing it. The fact that he's doing it with 10 laps to go is mind-boggling. Everyone else is kind of just losing their steam at the end of this race. Trevor Vaden making some moves up into the front. Al Bunch loses a little bit of his own steam there. Now we have Taden Bergeron leading Nate Newman, Kara Shangle, Chaz Chadwick, Tasha Wright, Tom Cording, Jacob Shangle, Trevor Vaden, Al Bunch, and Chris Harvey. Kara's going for the lead here, as it's going to be down to 8 laps to go. 7 laps shortly. Chaz Chadwick, Tasha Wright. Man, Al Bunch is still there. Bradley Ream, the lap traffic's going to factor in once more here tonight. Kara leads that lap. Al Bunch would like to make it 3 wide for the lead, but he settles in behind the 90, at least for now. Kara's going around the high side. She's going to be able to close the gap on the 90 of Tasha right there. Keeping the lead away from the 90 and ultimately away from Al Bunch in the 81. Probably some of the most calculated chaos that you've ever seen. These drivers making some moves at 220 miles an hour and still making it pay off. No! The mistake was made there for Kara Shangle as she went high and got stuck behind the 78 of Bradley Ream. That for sure is going to be a game changer that may ultimately end the race win hopes of the 21 team. As we're going to be down to 4 laps to go now. Man, Al Bunch is walking away with another one here, folks. Is he going to be able to close it out? Kara falls back to 20th, but she's not out. She can try to get caught back up to the draft here and try to hunt down the tail end of the field. Al Bunch gets forced 3 wide. The more these guys race up here, the more likely she can get caught back up. Al Bunch loses a big gap there to the lead. 3 laps to go. In case we need it, green-white checkers is enabled now. Let's hope we don't need it, though. One more lapped car. Wow, the 40 of Carson Bowers had to make an unscheduled pit stop here. Out of all the things, with 3 laps to go, I would not have expected one of our top racers here tonight having to pit with the final 3 laps still to go. That's a tough one. Tough pill to swallow. Hopefully everyone can make it without having to make an unsavory pit stop here at the end of the race. This may not be as bad of a lapped car as some of the others we've seen here tonight. That one should still be able to hold its own with the leaders once they get caught up to it. Wow, Jacob Schenkel holding the high line. He's going to have the outside. He's going to have a run on the outside and keep the lead away from the 20 of Nate Newman. How impressive. Even without any drafting help, he was able to muscle his way back around. And they're rolling to the white flag here. 64 of Jacob Schenkel in the lead. Just one more lap here tonight, folks. Dave Steele Jr. right on his bumper. Kellen Relic coming in hot too. 64 tried to block the lane. He still has the momentum, has the advantage on the outside. They're going to catch the 40 here on the backstretch, though. Is he going to be able to get around him without losing too much momentum? 64, Jacob Schenkel looking to get his 2nd win of the season. Coming off of turn 4. It looks like he's going to have it. The Doritos Genesis is going to roll to victory here at RiKi Raceway. A tremendous victory here tonight. Well-earned battle for the win. Jacob Schenkel gets it to victory lane. Carrie Schenkel had a valiant push there and had a shot to win it tonight. She comes home in 16th. And the rest of your finishers here in the top 30 roughly. Luz Tross comes home 29th. Matthew Fastnot 30th. Well, folks, that's definitely not something we had in the bingo card. 64 brings it home for the 2nd victory of the season. Genesis gets that 2nd victory. Jacob Schenkel with the 2nd victory. Well, folks, that was a fun one here tonight from RiKi Raceway. Didn't quite see the big ones here tonight, but we did see a lot of great racing from start to finish. So even though we didn't see a big one, these drivers are able to leave here tonight without any bruises or broken bones. And the 2015 champion Jacob Schenkel gets yet another win to his tally, trying to catch his brother for the all-time wins in the Sigma Cup Series. And so that, folks, is a wrap here tonight. With only 9 races left on the calendar. Kansas coming up here in a couple days. Rockingham in another week. Nashville's Music Fest Grand Prix next month. Other tracks such as New Hampshire, Kyalami, Gateway, Talladega, and Indianapolis. We're in for the championship push here, folks, and it should get interesting. So with that, I would love to wish everyone a great night. Stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Jakester signing out.